FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, they don't need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Commanders moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. K-Dot in the mid, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Trying to dance why, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the word, so shit is shit. K-Dot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. And this episode, it's about the Detroit Lions. We are on the road yet again, this time in the divisional round against the 15-2, the 1-seed Detroit Lions. So we're going to jump into the preview for that. We've got the comment mailbag, as we always do, our predictions for that game. And we're going to do the All-22 review against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
We're flying high, while Ben hit the grind, said thanks, I'm good, but we're doing just fine. Dan Quinn leads, Kliff runs the show, but Jayden's the star and the whole league knows. Rookie the hero, the kid don't miss. Cut on his face, no ice in his wrist. He lights up the field, defends his ball. District divide, Jayden stands tall. Detroit's next, never will store. You'll carve them up, then silence them all. Win or lose, we've already won. The East runs red and the future's begun. Ben's the head, yet Ben's the best. Outside this odds, showing all the rest. Commanders rise, we're built to hit. Don't act surprised, now share this shit. Share this shit, bitch! Share it! Share this shit, bitch! Share it!
Share the shit, bitch! Share it! Share the shit, bitch! Share it! Yeah.
Share this shit. Hell of an intro there, K-Dot. And without further ado, we jump into the other intro for the All-22 review featuring that man himself, K-Dot.
More music!
It's the All-22 review on District Divided! Bitches!
All right, and with that, a reminder, the score was 23-20 last week, that epic win in Tampa. The doink for Zane Gonzalez, sending us to the divisional round. And to break it down for us, of course, is K-Dot, who doesn't have 50 screens. He doesn't have 60. Actually, in the playoffs, he doesn't have 70. 80 screens to make sure that he's understanding everything. And I think he got every angle of the doink as well. I mean, he's got it all covered for you. So with that, K-Dot, over to you. What did you see on your All-22 review?
Well, first and foremost, I don't know if I'm that good a fan because I did not know about Zane Gonzalez's backstory. So I do feel bad that when I saw him going through his rituals, I lost so much confidence as he was getting on the field. So I will say, knowing now what I know, as far as Zane Gonzalez being very open with his OCD, I don't think I've ever rooted for a guy that I want to make sure that he's like the hero for.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Like, I want this to work out. Zane, I've got full confidence in you. Or at least I'm going to fake it until it makes it. All right, buddy? So I just want to start off with that. I felt guilty about what I said around my buddies when I was watching the game. So it was, love you, bud. Love you, bud. Love you, Zane.
We love you, Zane. Go ahead.
No doubt. All right, All-22. I don't want to spend too much time on this game because we're in the playoffs and things to hang a hat on. Plus, I think everybody kind of knows this game was up to one guy, one guy only, really.
Per usual.
So the Jayden Daniels show. So I guess I'll start with Jayden, but then I'll work on some things on offense that I didn't love seeing, maybe some stuff to look forward to the future, and then we'll focus a little bit on the defense, just overall as far as the adjustments I saw them make over the course of the game. They got us in some good position, and like what I thought going in compared to what it is that I know now. First line, as far as what I wrote in my notes, because my notes are that's all over the place.
Okay.
Jayden Daniels, a rookie playing like a vet. It's the first thing I wrote. Dude was bananas. He was bananas in the second game. I thought it was like, look, I know that I thought that I was going to go ahead and look at this and be like, I thought he was going to be missing so much. You remember I said in the last episode, like I felt as though if I was going to look at the All-22 early on, there's probably going to be some stuff that he missed, some stuff he left out on the field. Of course, he's a quarterback in the NFL. They all do. Even if you got a quarterback that finishes with a 158.3 quarterback rating and they could throw for 100%, there's probably stuff they left on the field. They made it more an easier completion when there was a harder completion, things like that. So I ain't nitpicking because there was literally not a lot of that shit, at least not compared to the shit that he made up for. Because, like, damn, clutch factor. God damn. Every sort of high leverage situation, every sort of situation, third down and fourth down when we needed something, the dude stepped up. Whether it was throwing the ball or using his legs, he stepped up, and he stepped up in a big way. I'm going to talk about the offensive line in a little bit because this was not their best performance. And I'm going to single out a couple guys in particular. It's not their best performances. But Jayden overcame almost everything that Tampa Bay was throwing at him and just said, give me fucking more. Like, there's nothing you're going to show me that is entirely too much for me. Yes, there were definitely some cases where Tampa Bay was bringing that blitz, and he handled it. As he does, we look at the numbers. He handles the fucking blitz really well, either getting rid of the football and move around a little bit. But there definitely were some times in this game, there has been, where Todd Bowles was like, you know what? Kind of what I said in the pregame. I'm not going to bring everybody. I'm going to drop some guys in coverage. And yes, there were a couple looks where it was absolutely muddled. There were a couple times where Jayden was holding on the football a little too long when he had options to get rid of the ball. There was one case in particular, I think I wrote it down. Well, maybe I didn't. But there was one case in particular where he has something open. He doesn't love the look, and he moves up kind of in the pocket, gets hit. And it's like, that was unnecessary. You didn't need to do that. Like, it was just the one or two moments like that.
Sure.
But it does not make up for the fact that on this third and fourth downs, this dude he was killing it. And Tampa Bay was throwing a lot of shit in it. They were disguising a lot of pressures. They were bringing the blitzes from different angles. He was doing really well. I tell you, the defensive back blitzes, that's going to come up when it comes to the Lions preview. But in this case, dude was just handling everything that was being thrown his way. And it just didn't look as though it was impacting him. Like, you look at other games over the course of this last playoff weekend, and you can kind of see when certain guys start seeing ghosts, when certain guys start like getting a little nervous, it wasn't there. I thought that we'd see at least some moments. There's been some moments in other games where you could see he's like rushing his process. Mm-hmm. This wasn't there. He was the motherfucker. He looked like a 10-year pro. I can't deny it. The dude was legit. Yeah, really, the only room that I have for growth is the disguise coverages early on. But I do think that there's some stuff that Kliff Kingsbury and the offense can do to kind of help him out in that, which is I'd say if you run more motions, if you put guys in motions, it doesn't allow Tampa Bay to do the exact same thing they want to because they got to kind of make up for what it is that they're doing. There's some things you could do, some wrinkles you could throw to make it a little bit easier, but it's just something Jay's going to learn with time. It's just something he'll learn with time.
As we wrap up Jayden over here in his one of my favorite moments of the game, K-Dot, was to start the 92-yard drive. It was maybe that was 3rd and 6 as well. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. But he rolls to the right and his eyes are downfield. And week 1, that was not the case, right? So we talk about the development of Jayden Daniels. He's rolling to the right. He's running out of space, but he waits. There's Zach Ertz. First down. We continue and we eventually score. That's that 92-yard drive, which is the longest engineered by a rookie quarterback since 1986 in the playoffs. So, I mean, hats off to him. And it was just a particular moment where I was like, man, look how much he's grown. It's awesome.
Yeah, there were a couple of stories. The one thing I think you're talking about was that the back sort of across his body bit?
Yes.
A little bit? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess that it used to be a rule to not do that in the NFL. But I think even in the commentary while watching the game, there's like, it's become an exception for a few guys. Like they could just
it certainly is for him.
It definitely looks that way. It's like him, Josh Allen, maybe at this point, Mahomes, of course. There's no play that you could just say is like out of. And yeah, Jayden has elevated himself to that particular category. Whereas like if he does that from here going on, I'm sure he sees something. Because I know the one thing I know that he's not doing is like, there was one ball in the end zone where I think everybody was kind of looking at. He had a running back in the flat, and he darts it in, trying to squeeze it in. Zach Ertz, it's out open. That's the only throw that I can look at and be like, oh, you put that ball in serious danger. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, he's usually so sure with what it is this decision making is, and I'm not worried about him throwing into a situation where the ball is going to get picked off. I think he knows what the fuck he's seeing, and he's not confident to a level of stupidity. Like, let's say, like Josh Allen used to be at a certain point in his career, early on in his career, where it's like, oh, I can do it. I'm just going to do it, right?
There are degrees of across your body, and that one was 100%. Pretty minor relative to like what you'd maybe see Brett Favre do back in the day.
The Favre,
he's special, but that's like the
Jay Cutlers and
Vikings had a tough time, of course, with the loss with Darnold, but also in the NFC Championship game, Favre back in the day where he throws across his body, zero reason to do it. They're in field goal range. Next thing you know, the Saints have it. Saints end up winning that game. So
100%.
like Jayden's not doing that. Anyway.
No, and there was another 3rd and 6 play. It was the deep throw to Terry, where it was like before the snap, you can see it would just cover. He adjusts he slides over, adjusts the protection. So he identifies the blitz pre-snap, which is great. Which is why he's so good at the blitz. And it was a perfect ball. It was a fucking perfect ball. So like, I would just, I'm glazing Jayden.
I mean, I think you and every fan and the national media. So we're all together on it.
Yeah, no doubt. It's dude, just if he's going to be doing what he's doing with that, just fucking just do your thing. And the De'Ami Brown touchdown also.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Cool.
All right, offensive line.
Yeah.
They showed flashes of being more physical than people give them credit for being at certain points of this game. Because I mean, Tampa Bay's front is they got a bully type front, right? You talk about Vita Vea, those guys, they can beat you the fuck up. So there were moments where I was kind of proud of certain things that I was seeing where it was like, all right, guys, you're being physical, you're doing that, like that's good. But overall, I'm not even going to talk about the run game. It's pretty much non-existent. It's just that. I can't really attribute it to anything in particular. I don't think the running backs are seeing things good. I don't think the blocks are all that great. And I don't think our heart was in it. I just don't think our heart was in doing it. We were just like, man, fuck this shit. We're going to throw the football. Because there are a lot of, once again, going back, there's a lot of looks. It's just stuff being open just enough for Jayden, especially in the short game. It made up for the fucking run stuff. So I'm not blaming anybody in particular on that. But, Tyler Biadasz. Good game by him overall. There were definitely some moments where Vita Vea was absolutely beating him up, like over the course of the game. Everybody on the offensive line had their moments where it's like, oh, you could do better. And they also all had moments where it's like, oh, that surprised me. I didn't know you were that big. I didn't know you could play that big. But Vita Vea overall, it was tough when he was on one-on-one with Tyler Biadasz. But Tyler Biadasz, I also give credit for what he was doing as far as communicating. I think you saw in this game, probably more than any other game, him and Allegretti were really, really calling shit out before pre-snap. You could see them really, it was getting caught on camera. Like they're really looking back at Jayden like, hey, we see this. Look at that. This. Like, I love seeing the communication. Any more of that shit that I could see, bring it. Fucking bring it. Because I love the fact that they're getting everybody in line the way that they need to get in line. There were a couple moments like the fourth down conversion to Zach. Biadasz actually does a damn good job against Vita Vea one-on-one. He gets him and he moves him on the other side, on the outside of the play, and gives Jayden a clean enough area to deliver a football. It was fucking awesome. But if there's anybody that I'm going to look at as far as to say, like, this was not your best game and maybe we need to look back at that rotation thing, it's Brandon Coleman. Yeah. Coleman did get beat up quite a bit. It's one just like physical. Like you can see just from a physicality standpoint, when he's playing his best, he's the most physical guy. You can see he's clearly the most physically gifted guy we have on the offensive line. But you can also see from a mental standpoint, I don't know if it's just more reps. I don't know if it's just he's still getting used to playing certain positions and but yeah, there were definitely some moments where it's like, all right, do we want a better mental presence there to know what to do from a technique standpoint or knowing who it is your responsibility is?
Right. And a reminder to the audience, this is a 3rd round rookie tackle that played at TCU and now is playing, it's not the Big 12 anymore, right? Like, now you're playing against NFL caliber talent and it's also a playoff game. So it's understandable. But to your point, K-Dot, what do we do? Do we go back to rotating a bit more? Curious to see.
I think you're even being too kind with it's understand. Like there were some moments where it's like, I don't give a fuck who you are. You need to know that's not what you're supposed to do. Gotcha. Like there was a play action where it's like they slide, the guard comes in and one of the defensive linemen just fucking flashes across and Coleman does nothing. Like and it's a free rusher to Jayden. It's like, get your hand on somebody, dog.
So borderline, you were me playing left tackle.
Yeah, it was like, okay, I might have been able to diagnose it even more. Like, or if I didn't do it, maybe it's because I was scared. Like, like there's no reason for like Coleman did have a rough game. Like you look at the offensive line and you just say, Jayden made up for a lot of shit. Yeah, because the offensive line play is one of the reasons you couldn't get the running game established. And I think we just said, fuck it, we're not going to do that. So it was like, that's why I keep going back to the Jayden thing and why I'm so impressed with the performance. It truly, everybody's flashing that stat. He was responsible for 87% of the offense. That motherfucker should have an asterisk next to it because it feels like it should have been Nothing good happened on offense unless Jayden wasn't.
And for context, and we tweeted this out as well at District Divided. Please give that a follow on Twitter. That the other 3 rookies that won their first road game, it was Joe Flacco, and he was at 50% of the offense. It was Mark Sanchez the very next year in 2009, 51% of the offense. Russell Wilson, 2012, against another rookie, RG3, accounted for 67%. And they all had top 3 scoring defenses. We don't have that. And we've got 87% of the yards accounted for by Jayden Daniels. He goes over 300 total. Just magnificent. And making up for some of the offensive line play that wasn't going so well in the form of Brandon Coleman, as K-Dot's talking about.
100%. And as we transition to defense, I'd also shout out Diami Brown. Had a hell of a game.
Career day.
It was very nice to see somebody else step up. It's going to require, look, a lot of attention's going Terry's way. There was a lot of attention in this game going Terry's way. It requires someone else to step up, whether it be Zach Ertz, whether it be Austin Eckler, whether it be somebody else has to step up in these games. This is one of those things where it's like Diami Brown had this game this week. Would I put money on Diami Brown to have the same thing back-to-back against Detroit? Probably not. But OZ, maybe it's your turn. Maybe Luke will get his opportunity and it's his turn finally. Ben Sennett, I don't know if he's still alive. Zach Ertz, maybe it's you. Maybe it's
Ben, maybe comment if you're still alive.
Yeah, please do, man. Or if you can't, I was gonna say blink your eyes or anything being held out.
Yeah, we'll be able to tell.
We'll be able to try. Next interview you do, just blink your eyes a couple times and we'll know. So yeah, we're gonna need to continue that until I say that it's like we're week to week, and I don't think a lot of people think we're making it past this week, but it's like we need somebody else to step up. And next season, you absolutely can look at we need somebody that's a true complement in that offense to help out Terry, because we need somebody else. So we need people to help out Jayden, because Jayden's doing too much by himself.
For sure.
All right. Defensively. Now, going into this, I basically had a thesis. My thesis was I also had a thesis going into my Lions tape review. I'll stay with this for now. My thesis was, and I think I said it in the last episode, was that the complementary football was so much that the defense didn't really have to do much. The offense, if you look at the stats for Tampa Bay, they were kind of doing what it is they wanted to do. And it was mainly the offense providing the best defense for the defense. I don't think that's completely untrue, but I also think that I was entirely too harsh in my judgment on what the defense was doing in this particular game. They were better than it is that I was giving them credit for. Mm-hmm. You look at the Bucky Irving of it all. There's one explosive run that Bucky Irving has the entire game. It's the 19-yard run. Beyond that, they held him pretty much in check. And I'm going to give complete shout out to look. Defensive line, I've told you guys time and time again, there are moments in these games where in order to try to get that run defense, they'll do stunts and things, but the defensive line plays very undisciplined. Sometimes they move too far downfield. Sometimes they're not maintaining proper gap discipline. And a lot of times what the defense is doing is try to provide opportunities for either Wagner or Luvu to get down there, to get downfield to make the pass rush. Usually, depending on what lane either one of them go to, the running back can either find the other lane or bounce them on the outside. This particular game, I give 100% Luvu and Wagner. Look, usually you watch these games, and the reason that Wagner and Luvu kind of step off the page is because they're in the backfield and they're causing a bunch of disruptions. The best stuff that they did in this game was the quiet shit. Being in a hole, blocking up the gap, providing a look that Bucky Irving's like, oh, shit, I can't go there. Mm-hmm. That was, this is some of the best run defense I've seen from the linebackers in a while. And it's the best discipline that I've seen as far as the defensive line also in a while. Surprised me. So, while I still believe the best defense was the offense in those long drives. I'm not giving Tampa Bay a lot of opportunities. But in the opportunities that the defense needed to just step up and get the one or two stops here and there, or making sure that it was, all right, Baker's going to have to get him out of this situation. There were a lot of those moments, and the defense really did step up. Wagner and Luvu, very instrumental in filling the gaps very quickly, and they set the tone. They were not going to allow Bucky Irving and those guys to just run all over him that day.
And it's got to be said that on the defensive line, we were also missing Daron Payne for some time as well with that dislocated finger. He's going to be good to go, as you'll see in the injury report. Please continue.
100%. And when them moving Daron Payne all around the line and trying to look and see what's going on as far as the defense, sometimes if you got a team wanting to run more outside, Daron Payne being there is enough to just say, you're going to have to cut this bitch back in. And if you got Luvu and Wagner doing what it is they need to do on the gaps, doesn't provide a lot of opportunities as far as these running backs. Remember, Luvu, Wagner, Payne, those are names. Those are good names. And when you put them in the best position, they're playing within the confines of defense, they can be playmakers. Absolutely. So that's the difference in a game sometimes, okay? So yeah, definitely as far as that goes. Also, I got to give credit to Joe Witt. I think people are starting to hear that Joe Witt's name's getting mentioned in some of these head coaching things,
Jets,
right?
yeah.
And the first initial stuff I was hearing was like, is our defense really that good? I thought we kind of hated our defense. So it's like,
but what he's done.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you look at even from week 1 when we played Tampa Bay compared to what it is we did this game, you can see Joe Witt's like, I learned from my mistakes, buddies. I'm not doing the same things anymore. A lot of man coverage stuff, man-on-man coverage stuff was eating us alive week 1. Yes, there was definitely some things in this game. I'm looking at you, Marshon Lattimore, as far as being in man coverage that you could play better. The more and more that I was looking at Marshon Lattimore, what I ended up doing was I started looking back at some of his New Orleans tape. It's not the same guy. I don't know if it's the injury. I don't know if he's just
must be.
It's not. The injury's probably playing into it, and the fact that he didn't play a lot this season. And then on top of that, you add the aspect of these offenses are attacking him particularly, so it can kind of rattle your confidence a bit. Hopefully, I think when Marshon turns on, it'll be like a light switch moment. Yeah. I just don't know we're seeing Marshon yet.
Well, so, and that makes sense, right? First game back from a hamstring that he clearly re-aggravated. And so you're not going to be 100% this quickly. What, just 2-3 weeks after that? So like it takes time. It's good that he got 38 snaps in. And so that was third amongst corners behind Noah and Mikey Sanders still. And so now that he's got that game under his belt, how does it look this coming week? And we'll discuss that, of course, when we talk about the Lions. But please continue.
100%. And I also, when you see Marshon Lattimore struggling early in the game, you can absolutely see that Joe Witt says, all right, this is clearly not working. We need to do something else. And I got to give him credit for making the adjustments when they need to make the adjustments, not saying, fuck it, we're just going to leave this dude on the island out there. And they did what they needed to do. They did just enough. You see Mike Evans' productivity. Yes, they had less cracks at it, but you can absolutely see the productivity went down a bit once they sort of changed the way that they were focusing on it. Mike Sanders still, good job as far as what you were doing within the confines of the defense. They played a lot more zone than we typically do, I think, in this particular game. Just try to give them different looks. And I will give Joe Witt credit. He did show a lot more diversity in what it is we were doing defensively than we have at other times, which also at certain points, Baker had to make some plays because we were muddling a lot of looks for him. There was a lot of stuff that he just had to extend some things. And because, like I said, the defensive line was doing a pretty good job playing discipline, they weren't playing with their ears pinned back as much as they usually do, right? So there was a lot more. We're kind of worried about the run. We're not pressuring as much as we used to do. We kind of want to keep things disciplined, and we're going to play as best as we can some of this coverage stuff in zone. And they did a damn good job, I think, overall, as far as just muddying some of the things that Baker Mayfield was able to see. I just got to give Baker credit. Overall, he made more plays than he didn't make plays.
Okay.
That's like kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I would look, the biggest takeaways, Daniels delivers again. Offensive line is inconsistent. And the defense, great adaptability.
Did just enough. And so with that, that's the All-22 review with K-Dot, and on to the game preview against the Detroit Lions. It is the divisional round of the playoffs, and your Washington Commanders are still in the thick of it as they go to Detroit, where Jayden Daniels became a Washington Commander at the draft this past April. So he returned to Tampa Bay after week 1. Now he returns to where he got drafted and began his Washington Commanders journey. And so what we're going to do, of course, is we always provide the context for the game in the form of the injury report. So beginning with us, you're going to see that Jordan McGee is ruled out. He did not practice at all. We got a couple guys questionable in Mikael Walker and Colson Yankoff. The big name here, and the one that many people were monitoring, Bobby Wagner, who did not practice Tuesday or Wednesday, did in a limited fashion yesterday. So he's good to go, just to be clear. But how limited is he going to be? We'll see. In terms of his actual productivity, I don't anticipate him missing a snap, just to be clear, but just someone to monitor for us this coming Saturday night. And Zane Gonzalez, limited initially with the hip injury, seems to be good to go now. And Marshon Lattimore, again, full. So he continues to progress in his return. Let's go over, look at the Detroit Lions. A much, much shorter list. The main name on there, Kevin Zeitler, their guard, who has started 16 games, and he did start the very last game against the Minnesota Vikings and got hurt on the final possession. He is out. So a couple names to look out for is either Christian Mahogany, but the more likely one, a lot of people are looking at Christian Mahogany as the replacement. But the last time that Kevin Zeitler did not play, it was Coyote Awosika who ended up replacing him, ironically enough, at Minnesota, and that was week 7. So that's what you need to know over there, and it's Rakestraw. An important corner for them, questionable. Go ahead, K-Dot.
I think I heard Campbell, he kind of snapped a little bit at a reporter. He did say it was going to be Mahogany.
Okay, he did.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's fine. So that's going to be a lot of, so for Mahogany, that is going to be his first start in place of Zeitler. And he's only had, I think, 70 snaps the whole season, if I remember correctly. It's some small amount. So it's something to just keep note of over here. And so with that, why don't we go ahead and talk about our offense led by the man himself, Jayden Daniels, Kliff, Kingsbury, and the lot against this Detroit Lions defense. So K-Dot, over to you. How would you attack this Detroit Lions defense, which is, if you look at the offense versus their defense, this is the weak link of the team, but very well coached by Aaron Glenn, also having a number of head coaching interviews.
I entered this, like I said, with another thesis. My thesis walking in was Detroit's going to beat the shit out of us. I need to find reasons why. So as I dug, I will tell you, I did not prove my thesis complete. And there were a lot of things that I actually said, you know what? We've got some opportunities here. Let's go to the keys first. Looks good. Looks promising. The only thing you see that is what passing versus play action.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal for us. But hey, there's some room there, especially running, things like that. Now, do I have full faith that we'll be able to run the football? No, because I don't believe in our rushing attack. And I don't, after seeing what happened in Tampa Bay, I don't think we'll stick with it if this ain't working. I just don't think it's going to happen. Once again, I think this is going to be one of those games. Jayden, help us, bud. But like, if I'm really looking at what it is, I think as far as there's one word that really comes to my mind more than any other word, it's tempo. Tempo. The Lions love to blitz. They fucking love blitzing. Like, we thought we've seen teams that love to blitz. They love to blitz, okay? And what do we know about Jayden Daniels? If you're really bringing the blitz, he will whoop your fucking ass, okay?
You will.
It's a difference between thinking you're going to blitz. He has some things he can work on. But when you're truly blitzing, watch out. He's going to whoop your ass. And we got to kind of hope for that. Look, we also talk about the defensive back blitzes. I talked about it in the Tampa Bay game. And actually, there's a lot of stats I'm going to use in this, right? A lot of where it is that they rank compared to where it is that we rank. And I got to give a shout out to somebody who's a hero of mine when it comes to sports journalism, but someone that Amit just irrationally hates so much in Mina times. She did an amazing job as far as looking at some of the breakdown in this particular game. And I tell you, if you want to hear an expert and don't listen to Amit about like what it is that he thinks about it, I would tell you to go turn on her podcast and really listen to what it is she said about that game.
A great podcast. She just had a bad take saying, and Kevin Clark, I believe was the other guy's name, who said Dan Quinn could potentially be on the hot seat when we have one of the most patient owners in all of sports. It was a lot. And, you know, I've got a lot of scars.
I see the
burns from my past.
He can barely remember Kevin Clark's name, but he remembers the woman he hates. I know.
It was either Kevin Cole or Kevin Clark, but it's not Kevin Cole. He's fine. It's Kevin Clark.
Just stop. She's doing an amazing job, and she gets enough. She catches so much flack from everybody else. You do not need to be giving it to her too.
Here, please.
All right. As far as those blitzes, and as far as defensive back blitzes, Detroit does more defensive back blitzes than anybody else in the National Football League. But here's the stat to make you feel better about it. Not only is Jayden Daniels really good at the blitz, there's one thing in particular that he ties with Patrick Mahomes for the best in the league, which is EPA per play against defensive back blitzes. Amazing. So bring it, bitch. Bring them. Bring everybody. I don't know if anybody ever seen the movie Leon the Professional. There's a scene with Gary Oldman. He's talking to his corrupt cop buddies. And he said, who do I need to bring? Bring everyone. Bring them. Bring them. I think we can handle you. Once again, offensive line, Brandon Coleman, get your shit together. We don't need to give him easy looks. But I'm saying that overall, from what I can see, if you're going to bring the pressure, Jayden's going to be able to do it. He understands what he's reading pre-snap. He can get in and get out of stuff. But when I talked about it, tempo. Best way to combat a blitz, something that we do when we're doing really well, boom, back, quick shit. What worked really well in this Tampa Bay game? Running backs out of the fucking backfield, your tight end here. There's going to be space and zones to get the football to. You got to get rid of the football.
This is another situation where Austin Eckler is going to be very useful once again. He had a really nice game out of the backfield, like K-Dot mentioned last week against the Bucs. Going to need him again against the Lions in the passing attack, also in pass pro. So here's the thing. Aiden Hutchinson, who's their star edge rusher, out for the year, right? Well, maybe back for the Super Bowl, but hopefully we just go ahead and take care of business, right? But 7.5 sacks for Aiden Hutchinson. That's not going to be available to them. Za'Darius Smith, who we have actually gone against once this year when he was playing with Cleveland, is their leading sack getter with 4. And then Aleem McNeil is next up, but he's out. And then it's going to be DJ Reader with 3. So that's the reason you're getting defensive back blitzes, is because normally they're used to getting there with their front 4, but because of the injuries, they need help getting there. They've got 7 sacks in their last 5 games. 7 in their last 5. That's a little over 1 per game. So there is opportunity here to be able to sit in the pocket and boom bap, of course, but also stay patient. Once again, I thought Jayden did a really nice job of that last week, where if it's not immediately there, go to your next read. Go to your next read. There you go. Nice and simple, because they are, to their credit, good against the pass in the secondary. But go ahead, K-Dot.
Shout out to Anzalone, who's also, I think he's coming back.
He had a fantastic game against Minnesota that final week.
He's pretty fucking good.
Yes.
I love what you said as far as what is going on with their injuries, because it's a big part to do with it. And the reason that it's a big deal is they love to throw a lot of different shit at you, right? But they're very limited in what they can do, because they're doing everything they can with the guys that they have, which goes back to that word. What was that key word I had on it?
Well, you said boom bap a whole lot.
Tempo. Sorry.
Tempo. Sorry.
Tempo.
I'm so used to boom.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I'm all over the place. Remember, my notes are a fucking mess. Tempo. The Lions rank 30th in defensive success rate and yards per play against no huddle offenses. 30th.
That's beautiful. Against no huddle offenses?
Now, when we're in our bag, when those long drives started coming, what are we doing typically? No huddle. Now, also, when you're running a no huddle, and you already see what it is I've said as far as what they like to do with the blitz and what it is we can do, if we're playing that up tempo and not going in the huddle, they're down to what it is and what it is they're able to do from a flexibility standpoint. If you get something favorable and you're running the no huddle, they don't have a lot of shit.
You don't sub. Exactly. Then they won't be able to either.
They can't do shit. They have the guys in at any given point in time in defense to give them the best possible opportunity to do the things they like doing. There's not a lot of room they have. So if you run the no huddle, it locks them into shit that they don't want to be in. Do it constantly. This has got to be a tempo game. Get the ball fucking out. Let's do what we need to do. There are tons of advantages we have. We know they like the blitz. I gave you the rankings as far as the blitz go. Also, once again, shout out to me in the comments who dropped all you fucking sacks. I love this shit. This shit was awesome. This shit got me wet. 30 against no huddle, success rate, blah. They're 31st in success rate against mobile quarterbacks. What do we have? The best.
Mobile quarterback and one of the best at it.
Also, what do they suck at? They are 29th in EPA per play and 31st against pony formations. Pony formations, we 2 running backs in the backfield. Guess what we love to do?
2 backs.
Boys, we got some opportunities.
We got some opportunities, and it's also got to be said that up until around week 15, and I'm just pulling up the numbers here just to confirm. So up until week 15, week 14, they were doing pretty well against the pass, holding people under 100 passer rating. Then Jordan Love goes for 111.7. Josh Allen has that game, 122.4. Caleb Williams, 107.7, one of his better games as a pro. And then Brock Purdy 116 before Sam Darnold sees ghosts, and that puts up the 55.5. Jayden's not seeing ghosts. All right. So like there are opportunities to K-Dot's point. And the other point about mobile QBs, these guys give it up on the ground. Anthony Richardson had 61 yards, Josh Allen 68 yards and 2 touchdowns. Darnold ran for 39 the first time these guys met. There are going to be opportunities for Jayden as well. It is a bonus to be able to run with Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. Maybe a bit tough, though, and I got to give the Lions some credit here. Against running backs, they're better. They've only allowed 100-yard rusher, and that was James Cook all year. So they are good against it, and they're typically playing with the lead, so they don't get as many carries against them. So it's also important to note that. But it starts with Jayden. It's a lot of throw to set up the run again. And hopefully we can this time around.
Just to back you up on what it is you said, I'm going to run through these. These are remember, keep this in mind. The Commanders are the 5th ranked scoring offense in the National Football League. 5th. The Bears scored 20 points against Detroit. They're 28th ranked. The Packers scored 31 against Detroit. They're 8th ranked. The Bills scored 48. They're 2nd ranked. The Bears did it again, 17, but it was their 2nd game against them. The 49ers are 13th ranked, scored 34 points. And yes, everybody can point to the Minnesota Vikings game where they scored only 9 points. But you also got to remember, if you look at that game or you watch that game, you know Sam Darnold had at least 3 touchdowns. He missed. And there's a legit 4th if you want to be real about it. All right. Give them, if he scores 2 of those, like it's a different it's different, right?
The flow is different. Yeah.
There's a lot of shit that we're going to have some opportunities. I don't want anybody to think that this offense, if we're clicking the way that we need to, can't get shit done offensively. We talk about the pony formation. We talk about what it is they're doing as far as being limited in what it is they are able to do. Another guy that you're going to look at is a key to anything that we're having offensive success with is Terry McLaurin, right? Now Terry McLaurin has had some interesting numbers as far as if you look at all of his stats and his route tree and stuff like that.
Right.
His numbers have not looked great when you press him. If you're playing press coverage against Terry McLaurin, he doesn't look great. Now, there are some things with that. Number one is that I look at the all-22, and once again, I'm not counting all the times that he's impressed, and I'm looking at the all-22. My notes ain't that fucking good, all right? But I do know at certain times that he's in press coverage, and I know with Jayden, you remember I talked about Jayden with that pump fake? It's not really a pump fake. It's him deciding to do something.
He actually did it to John Bates in the last game. Yeah.
I think that there are some moments, maybe he doesn't even get to the full pump fake, but there is something that might be NFL open and Terry McLaurin NFL open that he's just like, I'm not going to risk that, which goes to when it is that we're pretty secure that he's not going to put the ball in harm's way. But there are some times with Terry where it's like, you can do it, man. You can do it. Just do it.
Oh, if I could just add, because we haven't really mentioned, so we mentioned Anzalone, we've mentioned DJ Reader, Za'Darius Smith. You got to give your fucking flowers to Kerby Joseph. First team all-pro safety for the Detroit Lions. He's allowed 1 touchdown. He's got 9 picks. And he's giving up a passer rating of below 39.6, I believe, which is, it's 39.1, which is just basically, if you have nothing but incompletions, that's a 39.6. So he's doing a little bit better than that. So just look out for Kerby Joseph as well in that secondary. Man, he's had an unbelievable year. Got to get
no doubt. I would say
and Brian Branch. Yeah, those two.
Yeah, there's definitely, they got guys. Terry and Arnold's a dude. They got guys on that defense. It's just they're stretched thin, and I want to do everything we can do to stretch them even thinner. When I talk about Terry McLaurin and what it is as far as the press coverage stuff, if you look at the press coverage, so you hear that as far as press coverage, and you're like, all right, his numbers aren't great. What speaks to also that and being like, these two things might not be the same, is his tight window. His numbers are in what they consider to be a tight window. Is almost the best in the league. Like he's got 7 touchdowns on tight windows, right? So that would go, Jayden, just take the fucking shot. Like just take the shot. It almost feels like in a movie where you get the snipers, like the dudes on the radio. Take the shot. Take the shot. Like there are those opportunities. But what I want to do is make it easy as possible for Terry and for Jayden. Put Terry McLaurin in some fucking motion, baby. Move him around. There should be some snaps where that dude is running and then he can cut upfield. Just do everything you can do to get the press coverage away from his ass and give Jayden an easy look on a slant on a wheel route, something to just get the ball out quick. It beats the fuck out of the blitz, and it gets Terry McLaurin involved very, very early, which is good for everybody.
And one other thing, and we haven't done it at all this year, I don't think. Wouldn't hate a jet sweep to Terry early. Just to get him going horizontally. He gets an early touch. You know what it does for our team when he gets a touch early on. The touch early on against Tampa Bay, granted, beautiful 35-yard ball, beautifully contested catch by him. It got the whole team going. They've all talked about how important it is that he gets the ball.
Yeah, I won't deny any of that. I will say the reason I chuckled a little bit when you said jet sweep to Terry, I do remember there was a game that I forget who we were playing against, but we were criticizing.
Oh, was it to start the second half?
And
maybe it was a fumble or something like that. Yeah. Okay, well, you know what? We've been saving it again for this moment. That's right. You're right.
I want slants. I want some slants.
Ideally, if they're making it difficult, then manufacture a touch.
I need. There's just some stuff with Terry that I think that, like, the more and more we get deeper into this stuff, the more and more you start to see Kliff sort of open up the playbook. Because once again, house money, you got a whole lot to lose. Like, let's do some shit. I just think Terry out in motion, kind of the way that like Miami does with Tyreek Hill, or with San Francisco would do like Debo Samuel stuff. They put that motherfucker in motion, and as soon as the ball snapped, let him take the fuck off. Like, let's do some shit. He needs to be the guy that kind of gets involved with that. But outside of that, look. We saw about them loving the blitz. They love to bring that. They love cover zero blitzing. That's where you get your boy Kerby Joseph and all the motherfuckers start getting some shit. They don't drop anybody back. They just fucking like playing fucking coverage like motherfucker. And with what they're able to do with the blitz stuff, they rush some stuff and and then people get into fucking mistakes, all kind of stuff. But if we're able to get any sort of time with Jayden Daniels, the fuck am I doing?
Basketball season's going on too.
With cover zero, there is going to be a lot of opportunities for some of the other guys to step up. Once again, I do think that they're going to do everything they can do to take Terry out of this game. They're going to do everything because that's what I would do. You got to try, right? So it goes back to what it is we said down there at the top. There's got to be some. If it's De'Ami Brown again, thank God, maybe it's him, but somebody else has to step up and be a good, reliable second valve. Something that not only that Jayden can rely on, but something that takes the attention away from some of the other guys on this offense that you just have to focus on. If we can do that, if we can just do a modicum of that stuff, we can score a lot of fucking points this game.
Yeah, we most certainly could. And another unit that is going to be this Detroit Lions offense going against our Washington Commanders defense. So as we flip the script over there, K-Dot, over to you one more time. This is, of course, Ben Johnson led. And of course, we're familiar with Ben Johnson from the potential head coach interview cycle last off season, not the potential one. He just did an interview with us. So K-Dot, over to you. How do we slow down this Detroit Lions offense, which is, I want to say, number one in points per game this season?
Yeah. Let's look at the keys.
Sure. Oh.
Got any comments?
5 stars across the board in blue. Oh, boy.
Yeah. Not great, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence.
It does not.
To tell you, really honestly. And that being said, like I told you guys, I went into this with a thesis.
Yes.
And when I was done, I felt as though my thesis was not proved. I actually felt better about everything. That being said, there is one thing we cannot, under any circumstances, allow Detroit to do. Otherwise, this game's going to be over. It's going to be over pretty quickly. You have to stop the run.
Have to. That's on my notes.
That's the run at all costs. At all costs, stop the run. Here's what I'm okay with. It's not great. If Jared Goff wants to fucking throw a bomb every series, at least it gets the offense the ball back. And I got faith that we can do shit there in a shootout. You cannot let Gibbs and Montgomery do whatever they want because they're going to try. They're not going to stop. They're going to keep doing it. You have to. Commanders defense. I cannot stress to you enough. I'm looking into the mic hoping it gets louder and that you guys will hear me. You have to stop the run. Otherwise, this shit is going to be very, very, very ugly, very, very quickly. And it'll also feel at the same time like a slow, painful death. It'll do both at the same time. It'll be horrific. We will, all the house money shit, let me talk about outcome of the game don't really matter. And it will feel different if Gibbs and Montgomery run all over you. Yeah. It will feel bad. I'm warning everyone. It will feel bad if you don't stop the fucking run.
K-Dot, can you show the keys again? Because I want to say those were all passing.
They were.
And so that's the thing. We're leaning into the 5-star matchups for Detroit. So this is a really fucking good team, right? And so to illustrate that, we're going to look at a couple scoring margin stats for you. The first one, plain and simple, number 1 in scoring margin on the season with a plus 222. All right. That's 13.1 points per game. So they're winning on average by around 2 touchdowns. But these are the quarters you need to pay attention to. The second and third quarter, K-Dot, these are mind-blowing. All right. So spoiler alert, Detroit's in first. I'm going to read 4 through 2 and then Detroit's number. So the Buffalo Bills are in fourth place. This is second, third quarter point differential at plus 112. Okay. In third, the Baltimore Ravens plus 113. In second, Philadelphia Eagles plus 112. In first, Detroit plus 192. That is 11.3 points per game. You take some of that away, take the whole thing away from their 13.1. That's 1.8. They're doing all their damage in the second and third quarters. They start a bit slow. They end a bit slow because they're typically up. Second, third quarter, be ready. Even if we're up 10 somehow, then what that's saying is you're going to be down 1. That's what that means. So you need to take care of those quarters. It starts exactly like K-Dot said. If they're using Montgomery and Gibbs, bottle that up as well as you can so that you create opportunities for Goff to potentially turn the ball over. He's got 12 picks on the year, right? A turnover goes so far in this game against this type of offense, and that can change the entire dynamic. Our best case looks like that Buffalo Bills game where we just have the superhero quarterback and everything's going great, and Detroit still scores 42, but we scored 48. That's the kind of game we're looking at with the defensive personnel we know we have against a juggernaut offense over here. Go ahead, K-Dot.
I did I looked back at NFL Pro and I pulled up the rushing keys because they do. I go with the overall keys, but they then break it down. And I will say, design runs 3 stars, Detroit's way. Rushing outside tackles 3 stars, Detroit's way. Running under center 3 stars. The most they get in running is 3 stars their way. You got opportunities, and the reason I brought up in the all 22 against Tampa Bay is what it is I saw from Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner. If this defensive line can play with the same level of mental fortitude as they did in this other game and discipline, look, we're going to have to throw some stunts in there, which have to be executed flawlessly. Detroit, what they kill you on is before they get contacted, they already got so many fucking yards on you. They have space to do whatever the fuck it is they want to do. You have to limit all of that shit for them, all right, as best as you possibly can. The defensive line, Deron Payne, John Allen, all those guys, there's no room to over pursue. There's no room for not having the perfect gap discipline. Louvu and Wagner need to be in there plugging holes as best as humanly possible. Gibbs and Montgomery should see one of those motherfuckers every single time there's a lane or a gap being like, you either can't go here or you got to go through me to do something. And on that level, you've got to play physical as fuck. This offensive line wants to beat you up. Look, as much shit as I'm going to say about Detroit and as much stuff as I want to, their fans have been getting on my fucking nerves this last week. I respect the fuck out of this team. You've heard me in these months and the years before when I talked about what it is I wanted our coaching staff to look at. I would bring up Pittsburgh, I'd bring up Baltimore, but I'd also bring up a lot of Dan Campbell, what I love with the coaching staff. When you see me talk about when it comes to fourth down, you hear me talk about Dan Campbell and what it is that I like to do. I have tons of respect for what it is they do as far as the team goes. And what I love more than anything is they love punching you in your motherfucking mouth. And with Zeitler being out, there's some opportunities even in the interior of that offense and the interior of the offensive line. Take advantage. Take advantage of those moments. Do not let anything easy for them. They're going to try. Always, the best defense is a good offense getting out to a lead. But as you said, it doesn't take much for them to get that back. So we have to do everything we can on defense to just limiting as much as humanly possible against these fuckers.
Right.
Yeah, I got some other shit, but yeah, that's the main thing. I cannot stress enough. Fucking stop the run.
Because it also helps with time of possession, which we did such a nice job of against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dan Quinn even mentioned it as a point of emphasis. These guys have the ball for 32 minutes a game. If we allow them to hold it for 32 minutes, we're dead. So instead, we flip it. We win time of possession. And so I'm so glad they did that. They're going to have to do it again. And this is a game where you may see some incredibly aggressive fourth down calls. I'm talking 4th and 7, 4th and 8. You might see us go for it. I'm not kidding. Like, it very much is
in prediction stuff.
What'd you say?
I got something on that in the predictive.
There you go. So I'll leave that for K-Dot.
No, sorry. I didn't mean to step on me. I just got excited about it.
Just to say, I mean, look, it's going to be insanely aggressive. This is what house money means. There were moments, even K-Dot had mentioned in the last pod, maybe points this time. Like, there are going to be moments where you're like, are we not punting that? Like, we're at our own 30. Like, there may be shit like that occurs. Just a heads up, okay? Because we're going to do everything we can on offense to protect this very defense that we're talking about right here. One other thing, K-Dot, I have written, what Marshon Lattimore shows up. So now that he's got a game under his belt, what does it look like? How did he look in practice this week? We'll see what happens on Saturday night, 8 p.m. Fox, for those that are watching. Like, it's going to be interesting because Amon-Ra St. Brown typically lines up in the slot. I'm not moving Noah, right? I think it's a more enticing, like, Sanders still will do it. But Noah's had a good year. And so I think Noah's still there. And then Jameson Williams, given his speed, I'd probably have Sanders still on him. Just because I don't know how Marshon Lattimore's hamstring is doing. So I'm curious to see what Marshon looks like, because if he does look good, that totally changes things as well.
Okay. You know what? Fuck it. I'll go to that part next.
Go ahead.
If Marshon's on the outside and Jameson Williams or Amon-Ra St. Brown are beating him up like the way that Mike Evans did, game over. So
another avenue for game over for Detroit.
So yeah. Washington has to do everything they can to make sure running attack, you got to be aware of him, but you also got to make sure Amon-Ra St. Brown ain't whooping your motherfucking ass. Now, we all love Noah Igbenogany. There's some conflicting stuff about Noah Igbenogany when you start digging into some of the numbers and stuff, right? When you look at like PFF grade, it's always usually typically high. When you're watching the game, it's usually not him that you remember getting beat like you see St. Juice or you see in Lattimore. But our numbers against slot receivers are not necessarily great when it comes to from a ranking standpoint. Mm-hmm. And if you have Amon-Ra St. Brown in that sort of lineup, I pick Amon-Ra St. Brown over anybody we have in that fucking defense one-on-one.
Yeah.
Which means he's going to need help. So wherever it is that Amon-Ra is like I said last game, you double team Mike Evans if need be. I remember you pushed back a little bit, but I think you understood.
I did.
That fucking game.
Very quickly. Marshon was not okay.
Right? This is another game where you can't let Amon-Ra beat you up. And you have to do it as best as you possibly can because, like I said, they got other guys. So if you start rolling a bunch of the defense over this thing, you're worried about the discrepancies leaving some other shit, right? So you're trying to stop the run, get out to a lead, and then do everything you can to stop Amon-Ra from just running daylight all over you and running with space. They love those fucking crossing routes. It's a lot of shit that we struggle with, especially when we're playing off the line of scrimmage. They'll get the ball out quick, and Amon-Ra will beat your ass if you allow him to do it. Because the other part that is just a matchup concern from a defensive standpoint for us, outside of Marshon, who I'm going to give help if he's struggling early on. I'm really hoping he plays up to it. But Sam LaPorta is another dude that you need to be kind of afraid of. Yeah. There is no one in our linebacker group that can take care of Sam LaPorta. I love Frankie Louvu. I love Bobby Wagner. I ain't taking none of those motherfuckers over Sam LaPorta as far as from a coverage standpoint.
No, it'll probably end up being Shin or Quan. I don't know. You could even, if you're nervous, try and have Marshon because Sam's not as fast. I was talking to somebody about this. You could potentially do that.
Okay, so let's take that into consideration.
Yeah.
We're worried about their running backs. You got to keep your eye on the running attack, right? Now you look as far as what it is with their receivers. Jameson Williams, he is a deep threat he will murder you.
Yes.
Deep, okay? So you want a safety to kind of shadow over top wherever side of the field that he's on, right? Your linebackers can't be there to save you from Sam LaPorta, so you're probably going to have to take one of those safeties and kind of move them a little further in to try to make sure that Sam LaPorta is being taken care of. So what does that mean? If I have to also give Marshon Lattimore help, and I love my rookie Mike Sanders still, but I ain't trying to leave him alone on an island out there regardless of whatever it is he's coming up against. Guys, you got to play your best fucking defense you've ever played. You're going to get beat. You're going to get beaten sometimes. They're going to whoop your ass sometimes.
Okay, this is where we look at, okay, we talk about, okay, this person needs help. This person needs help. What are we going to do? Defensive line. It starts up front. It starts up front. And again, Zeitler's hurt. And there is this idea that the Detroit offensive line is absolutely spectacular in pass pro, and that's actually not true. They're good, but you can get to Goff. Goff's been sacked 5 or 6 straight games now. He's got 35 carries, quote unquote, for 56 yards. He's not mobile, and he's not about to manipulate the pocket here. So you can make something happen getting to him. It starts there.
Yeah, it leads me to my third and final point on defense.
That's
why I went on the same order. We're just
this is incredible.
Working, man.
Let's go.
Washington ranks fourth in the NFL with quarterback pressure not bringing a blitz. Just put your front four. Fourth. If you bring no blitz, front four pressure against Jared Goff. Let me pull up Mina Kimes. I'm going to go to my Mina Kimes file.
She's great.
Yeah. Okay. 25th in QBR.
There you go.
When opposing team gets pressure without the blitz. 25th. If you can disrupt Jared Goff, he ain't Jared Goff. He ain't the Jared Goff we love and love. He's the Jared Goff that you were questioning what the fuck was going on in LA. He's the Jared Goff that you're like, this Houston, offense ain't clicking. Right?
Week. Yep.
So that's what you need to do. Trenches, it's up to you. It's the defensive line, it's up to you. I have had moments in this season where I've lost all faith in you motherfuckers. I'm not going to deny it. There were some times when it comes to the rushing attack where I'm like, you guys are playing so undisciplined. You guys are trying to get upfield, and we're just getting fucking murked out this bitch. You cannot let that be the case during this entire game. This cannot be one of those situations in which in the fourth quarter we stop trying, and now you got Montgomery and Gibbs fucking do whatever they want to. You've got to play a consistent game all around. You guys have to play disciplined as fuck. Louisville and Wagner, you need to block up those gaps as best as you possibly can. But the defensive line is going to be up to you to get Goff off his game, because it's going to be a situation where you don't trust your own secondary against these motherfuckers if you give them time.
Right. They're excellent against man, by the way. So, you have to get there. Any final thoughts here, Kate, before we move to the predictions?
Yeah, it's we got anything else on this? Yeah, just make sure you're not over pursuing a run defense. They love running counter and misdirection. So if you are undisciplined, they will eat you the fuck alive. And you got to make sure that you take advantage of the opportunities in coverage. If you are able to get pressure and Goff throws one of those duck balls or he throws in the coverage, you got to make the plays. You got to get the interception. You get the interceptions. Every drive against these guys defensively is going to be absolutely vital.
Yeah, zero margin for error here. We had mentioned that Bucky Irving was one of 4 players in the NFL with 1,100 yards and 10-plus touchdowns as a running back. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of them as well, right? And you guys saw, if you did, that game against Minnesota to decide the division. Jahmyr Gibbs was unbelievable. And now he gets, I want to say, Knuckles back, and he's Sonic, I want to say. So here we go. On to the predictions for this game. As you can see, the Commanders now 13-5 on the season, and so is KDOT. I am 11-7. The Detroit Lions 15-2. So KDOT, over to you. As always, I need a score, I need a winner, and I need a player of the game.
Quickly, have there been times where I've been in and out or delayed at all?
Just a little bit. You're good now.
Okay.
You're good now.
I'm good now. All right, cool,
yeah.
Cool. Let's get it. I'm living in Baltimore. Infrastructure's falling apart. All right. There's something I'm going to be a little long-winded.
That's
Bear
right.
with.
Take your time.
You brought up the 4th down thing. I've been thinking about this a lot. Once again, I have the utmost respect for the Detroit Lions. I have the utmost respect for Dan Campbell and what he's able to do. I think the fourth down thing skews so heavily in our favor in this game that it's kind of insane. And here's why. Not only are we better than them at it already, like we're better.
We are good at it,
right?
Yeah.
There's a difference between playing with house money compared to trying to generate confidence in the team by going forward on fourth down. Here's what I'm saying. Dan Quinn did something last week that you rarely ever, or not even just the last week, this season, that you rarely see defensive coaches like him do, which is understand and realize my quarterback's the best player on my team, and I'm not going to trust the defense to do shit if my quarterback can go and do it. Most defensive coaches, most coaches overall want to have faith in the defense to get the stop. It almost feels like there's machismo to it, all right, to do that. Dan Quinn's like, man, fuck that noise. Like, the best player on the team is Jayden Daniels, and we're just going to do it because we're confident in it, and it's just what we do. We know it's our best opportunity to win. Like, somebody was showing it the other day. Like, if you look at last game, I forget who it is that tweeted. I know it was tweeting. It was a conversation, which is like, if we had kicked field goals instead of going for it on fourth down every time, we would have scored 12 points. We went for it all the time. We scored 2 touchdowns. 14 points is more than 12 points.
Yep.
That's all you need to know. Okay. We have so much faith in it that it's just part of the game plan, and we're going to do it. There will be times, I think, that Campbell, to try to go tit for tat with Quinn,
will go. Yeah.
Will go when he probably shouldn't, because they cannot convert the same clip that we can. Now, don't get me wrong. I think from a matchup standpoint, they have an advantage when it comes to their offense doing anything against our defense. But you still got to maintain. I do think Campbell might press it a bit too much, and that goes back into take advantage. If you can stop them on those downs and turn those into points, it'll be huge, and I think that'll play into it. So, my prediction for this game, 38-35, Commanders. This is a shootout. This is what I want to see. This is the best case scenario, in my opinion, for this team, is a shootout. If they allow those fuckers in that backfield to take it to do whatever it is they want to do, that score will not be that. There's a reason that line in that game is 9.5. I think it's an 8.5 on FanDuel now.
Yeah, it's 8.5 FanDuel, over under 55.5.
Yeah. Look, if spoiler alert, when we go to bet a week, there won't be a bet of the week. You might want to do some stuff for Jayden yards if you think we're gonna do something, but that's about it. It's just it could get really. I see this game potentially being one of the ugliest things we've ever seen. There's an absolute possibility for that. It is there. It's not great. It's, when they talk about like the chance for snow, like it's a boom or bust,
right?
Like 20% chance for 8 inches. There's a percentage chance. Okay, it's there. It's very, very real. But if we stay in it, if Campbell's too aggressive, if Jayden continue to be Superman, and not what we saw in that Dallas game where he got a little too big for his britches early on in the game, if we can trust all these things to happen in our favor, got to shoot out, and I trust our guy. 38-35, Commander.
38-35. Any non-Jayden Daniels player of the game?
Whoever, like I've been, you know what? I'm going to go Eckler again. I think Eckler's feeling himself a little bit. I think he had a good game. I also think there are going to be opportunities when they start bringing that pressure for Eckler to leak out and for Jayden to get some quick hits to him.
Okay. So 38-35 Commanders. Detroit is the best coach team we've gone against. And I was thinking through our opponents, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, you talk about it from organizational standpoint, you talk about it from the coaching standpoint, getting the most out of their players, something we applaud Dan Quinn and our coaching staff for doing as well. And they're the 1 seed at 15-2, getting Montgomery back, and they're phenomenal. I can't pick against this team, man. Like, I can't pick against what we've got going. It's special. It's Jayden special. I've got a 36-35 walk-off 2-point conversion. I think make sure you got your medicine with you if you do take pills, okay? Because I do see, 6 in a row under 10 seconds last play of scrimmage. I see 7. I see no field goals. I just see nope, we're not going to be the team to kick a field goal. We are going over and over and over. And I think exactly what K-Dot said. They do the same thing, recognizing the same thing. That guy, number 5 on that sideline, 3 points isn't enough. I think he's already at that point in the league and has that level of respect. 36-35 Commanders, player of the game, Mikey Sanders still. Going back, he's a Michigan guy. I think he ends up making a play. The juices are flowing for the guy. He's a gamer. I don't know if it's a pick. I don't know if he forces a fumble. I don't know if he just has sort of his Pepsi Rookie of the Week, just many pass breakups or something. Mikey Sanders still. You're my player of the game. Ooh, here we
I
go.
hope it's Marshon Lattimore is our player of the game.
I do too, but like I got to see more from the hamstring.
Absolutely.
I'm not even faulting him. It's just like if his hamstring's like that, it's difficult to pick him as the player of the game. Bet of the week, which we just said is absolutely nothing. So,
like, if you're going to lean into anything, it's Jayden yards. It's Jayden yards. So it'll be rushing yards, because once again, we talked about how bad they are against So, like, I've been playing around with, like, if your book will allow you to do 250 combined yards, combined passing and rushing, I'm going after that, and then maybe parlay it with something else. I do think the plus 8.5, maybe not, but maybe tease that 9.5 out, maybe 12.5 plus Jayden yards. You might have something interesting if you want to do that. But beyond that, like I said, man, boom or bust.
Agreed. We could get blown out.
Yeah.
It is possible. It's possible. This is the most physical team we're playing against as well. And so with that, we go over to the comment mailbag featuring an intro from our very own Nikki.
Comment mailbag time, motherfucker. It's the remix. Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. We in the playoffs, no time for any suckers. Lions fans talking like they've seen a throne, but we all know losing's in your fucking bones. Keep dreaming big, it's what you do. Commanders rise, we're coming through. And yo, straight up, fuck Matt Regan.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I knew what you were talking about. Thank you, Nikki, for the remix. That was incredible. And so we go ahead and begin with Pally for Life. Shout out Pally for Life. I'm still surprised by that. It was live for me. Pally for Life goes, I believe what my eyes have told me all year. JD5 is different. The team has no quit, nothing to lose, and belief. Hashtag believe. Hashtag light them if you got them. Hashtag share this shit. Hashtag anybody, anywhere, anytime. Hashtag why not us. Hashtag arrive violently, Monsieur X. Get out your reaction.
You got your victory dance? I got it right here. Yeah. If anybody can tell me what movie that's from, I'll give you $1. All right. You don't know it.
Of course.
I'm sure you've probably seen the movie though.
Yeah.
There is a nickname that I saw for Jayden Daniels that is now what I'm using. The Cardiac Kid. Fucking love it.
Oh, that actually is good considering what all he's been doing.
He's the Cardiac Kid.
Okay. Cardiac
Fucking love it.
I like that.
Get your blood pressure medication. All right. The Cardiac Kid is here.
We go over to Vindo OG and Pally for Life for what it's worth. Outstanding comment. 100% no notes. Vindo goes, I don't bet, but plus 10.5. At one point it was plus 10.5. JD5 plus 40 rush and Terry over 5.5 receptions is a lock for real. I like our chances if it's close. Plus Detroit hasn't beat us in the playoffs. I know it was before the internet, but still. If it were outside, I would be concerned. But we are undefeated indoors. And Detroit's defense isn't better than Tampa's. Sorry. I don't think people realize who is number one in the fourth quarter or overtime in points, yards, and first downs. If it is a one possession game going into the fourth, you will again see something special. Get out your reaction to that.
Yeah, man. Once again, I gotta let Terry McLaurin 5.5. I don't know if I'm doing that. In all honesty, just because I think once again he's going to be kind of a focal point for that defense. But I'd love to see it. I'd love to see us get involved and just getting the fucking ball really quickly. The only thing I'm thinking as far as the indoors is absolutely something that works for us as far as Jayden's abilities too. The only thing that does concern me as far as Detroit itself is that building can get pretty loud, especially comes playoff time. And what we've been giving them a lot of credit on as far as the offensive line and what Jayden's been able to do is communicate out of things, getting the protection adjusted here and there. And the more noise, the more chaos it involves, the kind of harder it is to do those things at times. And also when we're talking about doing the no huddle stuff, you got to communicate as best you can. So like I just making sure everybody's on the right page when that stadium's going fucking nuts, because they will be going fucking nuts. It's gonna be a tough one.
It's going to be extremely tough. And also credit to the Detroit Lions, because last year they had not one but 2 home playoff games, and they won both. Right? They beat the Rams and they beat the Bucks before going to San Francisco in a game that, honestly, if Josh Reynolds catches the ball, maybe they're in the Super Bowl. Maybe they're defending Super Bowl champions. Like, this is a really, really good team with playoff experience. Yep. We go over to Earl Bruce, shout out. Team of Destiny. But they lose to Detroit. Next year, they sign the free agents and draft well. Next season, they lose the NFC Championship. The season after, they win the first of 3 Super Bowls in a row. My son will be 7 and my daughter 2.6 years. All right. And both will be fully indoctrinated fans. The future is so bright. We got to wear shades. That's the comment over from Earl Bruce. And Tony OG asking, what is 2.6 years? We're talking 31 months? No reply there, though, from Earl. K-Dot, over to you, your reaction.
Yeah, when I say team of destiny, it surely does mean next 5 years there will be a Lombardi trophy in the nation's capital. This team, on the other hand, is we exist right now to put fear and to cause heart attacks in the opposing fans. In the case of the Chicago Bears, it's to break you. That's who we are. These Detroit Lions, I don't know if you can sense it too. So, like, even when you look at the songs and shit that I've been playing on this end, I'm kind of getting on the Lions fan. I'm getting on Ben Johnson.
Of course,
right?
Of course.
I'm sure everybody's seen all the radio hosts in Detroit kind of coming after us.
Yes.
Yeah. Here's what I see. All right. There's a reason I also put the Kylie line on that motherfucker. I see a team kind of like us. Sometimes you, like, a hurt person recognizes the hurt in someone else.
Oh, of course.
I can see them trying their best to convince themselves they're not worried about this game. Like they're trying so hard to convince themselves we're so much better than them. This is going to be close. Like, you wanted us, you got us. And it's like, I know, like I said also in the song, losing's in your bones. You are used to it.
Yes.
Like, at least we have glory days to look back upon. Okay? Like, you guys
teams have to overcome their history. I know Dan Campbell wasn't there, and you could do an excellent job, building a new culture, but it's still there. The fans remember. The anxiety hits when they're at a stadium, depending on what the score is, because they were there for all of it. That plays in.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, well, I don't know if the franchise actually gets over their demons, though. Ask the Vikings, ask the Cardinals,
the Bills,
the Lions. So, like, there is
that's true.
Bit of that.
That's true.
So like, until it happens, it hasn't happened. So like, we're coming up on 100 years, if not more now. So like, I'm just saying, I can see it in them. They're trying to convince themselves. They're nervous. Yeah. They're nervous, and that is go into this with fun, guys. They are a better team. We want the better team. We want the experience. Yeah. And it's the same thing we've been saying. We want to kind of follow that Detroit Lions trajectory. You asked me time and time again when I was looking at what it is I was prognosticating, what my predictions were for the team. I'm like, I kind of want to follow what Dan Campbell did. I wouldn't mind not making the playoffs the first year, but then learning about who it is we are and getting there. They did it the right way. Part of you kind of wants to root for those sons of bitches because they put the years in to do it.
If it weren't against us, we would be rooting for them.
We root for them, right?
Of course.
But no,
it's a lovable
we got the kid. Okay, we got
that
the kid.
We
got the kid.
Yeah. Big Papa Grizzly goes, the doink to Detroit. This is immediately after the game. Mohammed Sharir goes, love this pod. Hail, motherfuckers. That's the other one immediately after as well. K-Dot, your reaction to the immediate elation from those two right there.
Same way we were feeling. I mean, you were drunk as shit, but yeah, same way we were feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, The next day was tough, huh? Like, oh man, I fell asleep during Rams Vikings. I was that like literally 8:30 p.m. I was like, no, man. Like it was just what a night. We go over to Big Papa Grizzly. Shout out. You'll be very pleased to hear that I was able to watch the entirety of that game, even though I was at work. And oh, what a game. This team keeps proving to everyone that any expectations or preconceived notions you may have about them need to be thrown right out of the fucking window. When we got the ball back with 4:41 left to go, I knew we had won that game. I think the Bucs knew it too. Just like last week when I said that we are the most team-like team other than Detroit. We may be the most clutch team outside of Kansas City. I had my mom, who still lives in Woodbridge and was never a big football fan, messaging me after the game getting excited for Detroit. That right there, that's special. After all this time, this team is bringing my mother and me even closer. This is about more than football. This team is healing decades-old wounds and giving people something to be joyful about. I want to ride this high all the way to Saturday. Walk around with your chest out this week. We're playoff game winners. K-Dot, your reaction to the comment.
Amazing comment. A couple days ago, I was talking to my dad, and we were talking about my mother, on the other hand. I remember when I was a kid, we were playing the Dallas Cowboys, and Emmitt Smith like broke a run, and she doesn't know a lot about football. She's Jamaican, she came over the country. She just doesn't know anything about football. I remember Emmitt Smith broke a run, and she was like, "Damn, look at him run!" And me and my dad looked back at her, and we didn't talk to her for like 2 weeks. We just refused. I think we won the game, but we just were like, no, fuck that. You compliment them, like fuck out of here. But now that they're in Baltimore, she's a huge Lamar Jackson person, which I get it. Ravens, whatever. But I was talking to my dad, and we were talking about that and my mom and all that kind of shit. And I was telling him how I was like, "Did you watch the game? Did you watch the game?" And he's like, "Yeah," because my dad is one of those fans that like enough was enough.
Yeah,
the NFL as a whole, like Colin Kaepernick and Dan Snyder and all that, was just like, "I'm done." And he started tearing up. And he looked at me, he was like, "You know what?" He's like, I honestly, at one point, I didn't believe you'd ever see anything good. He's like, I really didn't think you'd see it. And this is my dad grew up, if you're a Washingtonian, the Wiggins Family Restaurant and Sporty's over on Benning Road near RFK. My dad grew up in the shadow of RFK. When they used to do the practice fields and he used to throw balls to Charlie Taylor. Sonny Jurgensen used to throw him passes. This is back when you had access, right? Yeah. He selling hot dogs and newspapers outside of RFK for years. To hear him get emotional when talking about like you might finally see it, like you might understand what it's about. There's nothing like that, man. It's the time that we spent going through the hell that we did the last damn near 30 years, and to see what it is we're seeing right now. Soak in every fucking moment. Soak it all in.
Every fucking moment. My dad was a huge 49ers fan when he first moved to the U.S. and just fell in love with Joe Montana, his style of play. Him coming back, those fourth quarter comebacks over and over and over again. He messaged the family chat going, "Saw the Commanders won against an 8-9 team. Why to go to the last possession? Pathetic." Indian standards immediately. And then he's like, "Oh, they were 10-7. No apology, no acknowledgement. Just they were 10-7. So
Jayden does he have a degree? Does he have an engineering degree?
Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, he can do that, but I mean, what's he doing outside of it?" This is clearly his side job. We go over to Big Pop and Grizzly. My dad's like the chill.
You want to peek in that kid? I'm at Psyche. There you go.
We go to Big Papa Grizzly with a huge shout out to De'Ami Brown, who apparently only shows up in pre and postseason. Got a few laughing emojis there with 7 thumbs up on that. A lot of people are like, "Man, amen." De'Ami Brown showing up. Seriously.
I don't know did you notice Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel scored last week?
Yes, I did. Saw both their touchdowns. Like, oh,
well, we need one of our guys to step up.
Interesting. It must be noted, De'Ami Brown now going to Detroit. He was drafted ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Amon-Ra St. Brown made a stink of it the last time we played against him. So something of note. Jamal Bibi Charbonneau replies, he's making a believer out of me after all those dropped passes. We go over to Prince Anubis. Shout out. Prince Anubis goes, if we beat Detroit, y'all better break out the ski masks. Not your reaction.
Yeah, if we beat Detroit, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen.
I don't know either.
I
don't know.
if we do this, if we do it, like you gotta understand. I actually think the Rams might be the Eagles. So, like, do I think we can beat the Rams? Do I think we can beat the Eagles? We got to beat Detroit first. Like, if
we walk down the path for a moment, there's something a touch poetic of Jayden goes back, beats the week 1 opponent that got the best of him. Jayden goes to Detroit, where his Commander's career began, where he heard his name called. He wins over there. Jayden goes home to Los Angeles, wins over there. And then Jayden concludes back in New Orleans one more time, where he won the Heisman Trophy at LSU. I mean, there's a lot of like cool storylines, but first things first, can we beat Detroit is the big question. And that, again, Saturday night, 8 p.m. Go over to K-Man60. Shout out Zab. Wore my jersey to work today, and a bunch of coworkers got big smiles on their face just seeing that burgundy and gold. HTTC. K-Dot, your reaction to that comment?
I will say, I was thinking about the storylines in my head. I'm sorry, I'm now just on, are we winning the Super Bowl? We got to beat Detroit.
Yeah. Hey, again, the point spread's huge for a reason. We're massive underdogs.
Yeah. Like, don't get too far ahead of your skis. But it's like, all I remember when Patrick Mahomes in his first year starting, lost to Tom Brady in the AFC Championship. And it was sort of like, not yet, young buck. Not yet.
It was heartbreaking, too. That was D4 jumping offside on a pick. Oh.
Can I get Jayden losing Mahomes in the Super Bowl? Being like, not yet, kid. Not yet. Next year, I'll see you here. And they get the handshake at the end. And it's like, we got a date with Destiny next year. It's us against you. And that's the new rivalry.
Oh, my Lord.
Team that changed the name, the team that kept the name is still doing the Tomahawk Show for some fucking reason. Like, it's that. Like, all
right. And we stay
beat
on Detroit. We stay on Detroit.
Hold on. Fuck beat Detroit. Don't get embarrassed by Detroit.
Let's start there. And by the third quarter, we can go, okay. We go to Paul Murray. Shout out. What a year. From Noah's Ark to Return of the Doink. Can't wait to see what comes next with this team. Kid out your reaction to that comment.
Fuck yeah, man. This whole season, usually we're at the time of the year where I'm less sad because football is like coming to an end. And now I'm just raking in money because of sports betting, which is still happening. Raking in money. It's pretty nice. But we got meaningful football still being played.
It's insane. I was looking back at one of our episodes. What is the Commander's ceiling for the season? And so you had said divisional round. Here we are.
Did I really?
Yeah. You said divisional round. I said NFC Championship game. But this was, mind you, NFC Championship game with the defense being excellent with takeaways and us having a running game. I don't think those things are happening. So, it's just Jayden being ridiculous. And the defense, to be fair, stepping up in multiple spots. Because in the first half, they were averaging, the Bucs, including penalties and stuff, second and 10.5 yards. Very impressive. Very impressive from the defense. Need them to step up. Again, we go over to Jamal Bibi Charbonneau. Shout out. I'm 4 hours away from Tampa and didn't go to the game because I didn't want to drive 4 hours back feeling like crap. Now I wish I had. Well, Jamal, there's only one way to make up for it. We'll see you in Detroit.
Detroit Rock City.
We go to Eric Woody Variety 59. Shout out. The Lions fan shows are already talking shit, just like the Bears fans did before we beat them. And in dramatic fashion as well, with Noah's Ark, that Hail Mary against the Chicago Bears that proceeded to break their team for the rest of the season until they went to Green Bay and won in Lambeau. K-Dot, your reaction to that comment? Lions fans talking shit.
As I've said, I know when someone's lying to themselves.
There we go. We go over to the Nathan Perry. Shout out Nathan and shout out Ref the District. Like and subscribe to them as well. Smart money will be on Detroit to win. I'm not that smart. I know it's common thought that if Detroit doesn't put this game away and Washington stays close, that Jayden Daniels can will this team to victory. The question is, how much of a cushion do the Lions need to feel safe from JD5 taking over? Philly had a 14-point lead multiple times with the top defense, and Daniels erased it in the fourth. If the Commanders' defense can make just one or two stops while the offense cooks, this will be another exciting game. K-Dot, that's the question. How much of a cushion do the Lions need to feel safe from Jayden taking over?
This is where I give the Lions credit. I don't think they'll be that. I don't think they operate in that way. Like, if you know Campbell, he's not going to think that something's safe. They're going to want to bury us. I don't see them like, let's run out the clock because we have a lead. It's let's run the ball because we're beating them with the run. Like, that's what you'll see. Like, they're going to try to kill us. Like, that's what they're going to do. So I don't think they'll feel
all that stuff. Yeah.
I just don't. But once again, that plays into, do I think he might be overly aggressive at times that might play into our hand?
Possibly. And it's got to be said, you don't get a plus 222 point differential by chilling.
Right.
Like they play every possession to the max. They're an incredible football team. Incredible football team. Just running up against a potential team of destiny. We go over to Earl Bruce one more time. The line has gone up to Detroit plus 9.5. Wow. The disrespect is real. Commanders 23, Lions 17. Fuck the odds. Earl goes, screw it. We are beating Detroit. He did the same thing with the Bucks, where he's like, we're going to lose to the Bucks. And then later on, it said, okay, we beat the Bucks. This time, within the same comment mailbag, Earl Bruce goes, they're going to lose to Detroit too. Fuck the odds. Commanders win. K-Dot, your reaction.
The only thing I'll push back on is that the line is not disrespectful. If you watch it, you understand. Beyond that, I get why the line is where the line is. The only thing that people haven't realized outside of Washington just yet, I think that they're getting glimpses of. I was talking to Pally for Life about this earlier today. You remember Hard Knocks last season when Aaron Rodgers came in and it became like they anointed him the savior already. So it was like everybody was just like, oh, we're going to go to the Super. And then he tears his Achilles in the first fucking series. Yeah. And it all goes to shit, right? And now it's like he's the false savior. Like, he's got to prove himself to be the savior. And this year happens that they can't stand this fucker. He might be the Antichrist, not the fucking savior. Washington did everything they humanly could do to prevent giving the savior label to Jayden Daniels. Everything they could do to prevent that from happening. For us to do it, for the team to do it, none of that shit. Keep him humble, right? He's got to earn the shit. There is nothing quite like seeing this guy earn it the way he's earned it in year one. It almost becomes like a religion. It's faith. It's true faith. It's like you become a Jayden Daniels evangelist because you've seen the light, right? There is true believerdom in what's happening. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, but we've seen it. We've seen the light. It's like if somebody walks down and says, Jesus gave me these commandments, or God gave me these commandments, you're like, you need to see a fucking mental institution. What the fuck is wrong with you? But we've seen it. We've seen it. We saw, he is it. He is him.
A true elite superstar franchise QB. You can see all the potential, man.
And the team believes it.
You're one. I mean, again, the way he even reacted, one of the most interesting things. So one of the most interesting things to me, and I think to a lot of fans, was like he didn't react to Zane Gonzalez's winner, right? The doink goes in. He doesn't even go, oh, like he's just, that's his face, right? You see the Stephen A, like, you know, that meme. And after the game, Melissa Stark asked him, he's like, hey, you're rookie quarterback on the road, yet you're so calm, so poised. How? And he says, trust in the Lord, and I give all my worries to him. And that really struck me because then I was like, okay, well, if I'm pretending I'm Jayden in that moment and I give all my worries, not to be preachy here, but just like honestly thinking through it. If I'm, you know, religious and I just give all my worries to, you know, God, it all of a sudden made sense. Like the level of calm and poise and composure was like, I can only control what I can control. If that doesn't go in, that's not me. right? Like there's a bigger plan. And that level of relaxation all of a sudden clicked as I was thinking about Jayden, if that makes sense. I'm not
No,
sure.
because the way you feel about Jayden.
Maybe. Maybe.
But
like if I'm Jayden on the sideline, 37-yard field goal, I'm not the one kicking it. Like it's, it's
but you feel good. You feel it's in
of
God's
course.
hands. That's what I'm
Course.
saying. It's
Exactly.
the way you feel about Jayden. It's the reason we felt calm.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. We
Put faith in him. All is possible.
We go to Rich, where your helmet at. Shout out. I think house money has now truly come into effect. I felt as though we needed to win the game in Tampa as it was winnable, and also to end the 19-year playoff drought. I was stressed the fuck out all game. Detroit is a wagon and has been my pick to steamroll their way to the Super Bowl. Looking forward to Dan versus Dan and seeing us play truly loose and not giving a shit. We'll somehow keep it closer than expected. Washington plus 10 seems like a good play. K-Dot, your reaction?
Yeah, I like that play. I do like that play. I do think we keep it close. But it's smart money is on Detroit. It has been pretty much all fucking year. Anytime that anybody's going to be, myself included, there were moments where I was like, oh, I think I like Minnesota because the attrition rate and what's happening with Detroit. But Detroit's maintained. They are the best team in the NFC. It's just they are. Are they as talented as Philadelphia? No, but they're a better team.
The interesting thing about the rookie quarterbacks historically that win the road playoff game, So Joe Flacco went on to win the divisional round game. Mm-hmm. So did Mark Sanchez.
Yep.
Russell Wilson lost by 2 to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So now that, mind you, also means their top 3 defenses traveled with them and kept it close. But there is some precedent to, hey, this game is going to be close based on what prior rookie QBs have done and that they're more relaxed and they go, okay, I've already won on the road. So it's just another step. This is what we do. And then there is also the fact that this team of ours, I do think the line is disrespectful at plus 8.5. I was thinking plus 6.5 made sense, right? Because losing by 8, we've done before. Losing by double digits to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers week 1, we've done before. Everything else has been tight. Right. Yeah. So for it to suddenly be plus 8.5 is an interesting line to me. With that being said, tons of public money on Detroit. So Ridge, where your helmet at, I'm with you. I think plus 10 seems to be a good call. There is, of course, like K-Dot was mentioning with the meteorologists, that percentage chance of precipitation, percentage chance of blowout. There's a healthy amount, but I would say the line itself, I was a bit surprised by being as high as it was.
I get it. And once I went into it, like I said, I'll go in the all 22, the looking at the matchup with the thesis that we were going to get our asses kicked, right? And then the more I looked into it, the more I was kind of like, maybe Vegas doesn't know us as well. Like maybe they're not looking as closely, and maybe everybody just kind of,
or maybe they know that people love Detroit, and so they're playing to the Detroit side of things.
The other guy that I want to bring up as far as rookie quarterbacks that I don't think you mentioned is Brock Purdy.
I did not, because he had the home games. Yeah.
He came 5. Right. He was playing home. But you remember 5-0. 5-0. And they lose in that championship game because he gets hurt.
Yep.
But it's like, just saying. It's
possible.
I like it.
Possible. We go to Canis Wavy. Shout out. I think the matchup to watch this week for is Mikey versus Jameson. Okay, so also anticipating Sanders still on Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
Lattimore will most likely be on Amon-Ra, and I believe he'll be able to bounce back after last game against Evans. I've kind of conceded the idea that Gibbs may get loose against our front seven since he's just that damn good, and our run defense has been up and down. But any time where we force a passing situation, we must take advantage, and I believe Mikey will be the one to do so. Predicting a Sandersville pick 6. Control your destiny. K-Dot, Mikey Sandersville pick 6 would hit like, oh my Lord.
If we get a defensive touchdown, I think that's a victory for us. I think that I would go as far as to say I think that we win the game if we can get a defensive touchdown.
We get a pick 6, oh, absolutely. Steals an entire possession and puts 7 on the board. Yeah.
The only thing I want to remind people as far as Jahmyr Gibbs, 5.6 a carry.
He's phenomenal.
And in a lot of situations, as far as the way that we line up defensively, I think that, the way that we usually run as far as packages defensively against the run, he averages like 6.8.
He's listen, he is modern day Alvin Kamara. Like that is the comp I would give. And for and for those that maybe don't know Alvin Kamara or are not familiar with his game at this point, a young Alvin Kamara was spectacular for the New Orleans Saints. Jahmyr Gibbs is that when he's been the pure feature back. So Montgomery coming back, they tend to split carries more. Even Monty sometimes gets a few more than him. And so that's why maybe people don't make the comp. But the guy he's got the speed, he's got the balance, he's got the strength and the vision. He's, to me, the total package. An opportunity for us on defense with Montgomery coming back from injury, having not played for a little bit, might be able to punch one out. Honestly, just depending on if he's still feeling the injury, right, and if he's in the middle of that headspace for half a second, you might be able to pop a turnover there. And then we conclude. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. We conclude with Tony. Shout out, Tony OG. Shout out to Fred Smoot for titling this game, Daniels in the Lion's Den. In the Gibbs Bible, turn your pages to the book of Daniels, year 1, week 20. Cue the church organs. And it came to pass that Jayden, chosen among the faithful, was sent into the lion's den. There might fear to cross the land. Jayden stood before the den, unshaken by their roars, sharp claws, or fierce intent. The young warrior stood at the threshold, the air heavy with growls, while whispers of doubt filled the air around him. Yet Jayden lifted his eyes to the heavens and declared, "The battle is not mine alone, but ours together. With every yard, I carry the strength of my brothers and the trust of a franchise." With wisdom beyond his years as his guide and courage as his weapon, he entered the den. Fate steadied his hand and determination fortified his heart. He trusted not in fear, but in the power within, knowing the commander's will was with him. Standing firm and unyielding, Jayden bore the spirit of a commander and the hope of a nation. The lions encircled him, their roars echoing like thunder. Yet Jayden did not falter. A fire blazed in his eyes, and ice coursed through his veins. He called upon the playbook of wisdom and the power of his will. And behold, Coach Gibbs spoke unto him.
Oh, did he?
Go forth, and let neither the size of the foe nor the ferocity of their charge sway you, for I am with you. And it was written, he who trusts in his purpose and leads with fearless resolve shall see the mighty fall. The brave do not retreat, for they are forged in battle and crowned in victory. And with each strike, Jayden conquered, leaving the lions tamed, and the victory was his. The book of Daniels, 1:20.
Testimony! Go forth and let neither the size of your foe or the ferocity of their charge sway you. For I am with you. Coach Gibbs is with us. We have our salvation through the cardiac kid himself, Mr. JD5, Jayden Daniels. Victory is upon us. Regardless of we've won. We've won already. We already have eternal salvation through him. Through him.
Fabulous comment, Tony. That was 11 out of 10. And that was the common mailbag. This was the show. This was District Divided, a DC Sports Podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. And if you enjoyed it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, add more to the Gibbs Bible, and K-Dot.
Shit is shit, bitch. Share it.
Share this shit. We appreciate you guys. A quick after the pod starts right now. I cannot wait for Saturday night. What a season. What a season it's been. I mean, it's still speechless, honestly, even from the last win and just like the whirlwind that's come with it and how calm he was, how the defense did step up in moments. Yes, they got beat a whole bunch too, but like, wow, Eckler stepping up after being out for so long. De'Ami Brown stepping up, Terry catching that first one, and like Walters was ready to go to war with the guy. Like we were like, let's go. That's our guy. That's 17. That means something to all of us. Like it hits different when he catches a ball. Saturday is going to be great. It's going to be great.
Things shifted for me today. Since once again, I thought we would beat Tampa Bay. I didn't really falter. I thought we were going to beat Tampa Bay. The only team, and once again, I think it's just because of me that I worry about is the Rams. But this week started with me kind of thinking or relying on the adage that I continue to tell myself that we have the house money. I'm looking towards the future. We've already accomplished so much more than we ever could and feeling secure in that. And I still feel that way. But after really doing the digging today, last night into today on everything, I do actually believe we got a shot at this thing.
Of course. No, we do have a shot. And I think the main avenue that I think everyone sort of acknowledges is the shootout, right? Where our defense doesn't really stop a rested Detroit Lions team. But Jayden, being a mobile quarterback, and Mina Kimes providing those statistics on EPA for mobile QBs against the Detroit Lions, no huddle against the Detroit Lions. Yeah, we should, on paper, actually be able to do what we want to be able to do against the Detroit Lions. So can we keep up? That's the big question. Are they too physical for us? That's a question. But with the way that we've been coached, I trust that we can persevere through that. So, yeah, we got a shot. Absolutely, we got a shot.
Yeah, I think we line up perfectly for what it is they like to do defensively. And defensively, if you really start doing some digging as far as looks and everything, I know that I kept saying that, like, if the teams had more opportunities to run the football, that things would look worse. But they didn't have more opportunities to run the football, so they didn't look worse. So if you're keeping it that way and saying that, like, it's no longer like the exception to the rule, that's just what we're doing, then that means that I got to have some modicum of faith that we can keep Gibbs and Montgomery in check, at least a bit. And if that's going to be the case, the only thing that really concerns me is Amon-Ra in the slot and Sam LaPorta.
Yeah.
Also, Gibbs out of the backfield. Gibbs catching out of the backfield.
He's unbelievable. He's the one I'm scared of the most.
Everybody should be afraid of Gibbs, but the plus his name is Gibbs. It feels like
that too. There's something a little.
Don't love it. But
if he's true to his name, he'll fumble 5 times.
But here, you know what I want to see though. I'm thinking, like, we talk about, it's been hilarious, all this fucking religious allegory that's happened this episode sort of naturally, because I really do think that's where everybody's head is. Even if you're not even religious, I think this is what a religion feels like. Feeling what it is with these doing that. And I think about that, and I think that if I'm on that team, I don't want to let him down. I'm looking for Jayden to not have a good game and we carry him. That's what I want to see. I want to see a playoff game in which this group of B and C and D level players go up against this foe and say, Rook, we got you. We got you. We believe. And to have the coaching staff and everybody else kind of rally behind this guy and say, you don't have to have the perfect game this time. We got you. And to, like, take it off his fucking shoulders. Do I think that's likely with the talent? No, but I do believe you've heard me. I believe so much in the psychology of sports and the way that everybody's just mental state is. To me, it's the most important thing in sports. Really, I put mental stuff above even. I put it more above anything from a physical talent standpoint. Honestly,
I do too.
I had JJ McCarthy number 1. I just read it wrong. It's just. I really do think that this team is, after they got that playoff victory and after you just saw what Jayden did, I feel as though this week it's about we have to live up to what it is the Rook just did for us.
Getting a playoff win immediately provides relief, and you go, okay, now we can go. And so that happens a lot. If you think about the Caps when they went on their run, that first round win, they were down 2-0 and they claw back and they win. And from there, it's still difficult, but it gets a little easier, right? They get that monkey off their back. Oh my gosh, we almost got eliminated in the first round. There's no expectations that year. That was actually a down year for the Caps, and they went through. The Nats, that was a year they had just gotten rid of Bryce Harper.
I remember.
Anthony Rondon steps up. Who's this Juan Soto kid? Boom. Right? No expectations. You win. You turn around against the Brewers in the 8th inning. I was at that game. Also electric. You go on to win. This team has no expectations and went back and forth with the Bucks. Had a couple breaks go their way for sure. But now that that's been lifted, first one in 19 years, it damn near feels like a Super Bowl, right? Like that is now lifted. Okay. We're playing with house money and we can go. Yep. I mean, it's real. It's absolutely there. And you even saw in the college football playoff, everybody that won their first round game won their second round game.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Who you got this weekend?
What's up?
Who you got this weekend in all the games?
In all the games? Excellent question, because I was going to ask you that. I've got Kansas City. I have Philly, just with the snow. I think the snow actually helps them instead of LA.
No doubt. Saquon.
But some people think it helps LA for whatever reason, but I don't think so. So I think Saquon can go on to do what he needs to do again. And then I've got Baltimore. And I know that it's going to be the weather sucks in Buffalo. And so that does give me some pause. But I think it's why you brought in Derrick Henry, right? Like Bills defense isn't doing very well. Like I almost think the snow almost forces Baltimore to play classic Baltimore Ravens football, which I think they're geared to do. And they have Lamar Jackson. So that's what I've got. What about you?
I agree with everything except I'm going Rams. But the I'm going, I told you if they won last week, I feel even more vindicated than what it is I thought.
Absolutely. They played great.
I'm less on the fence about the Ravens Bills games than I think most people are. I got the Ravens winning. Like I'm not budging or flinching at that. I think they're too big for Buffalo offensively. I think the idea of like what it is they're going to be able to do, even if it's the weather's blustery or whatever, but like you line up with those big boys they got on that fucking offensive line with Derrick Henry in the backfield and like, let's say, fuck it, you guys want to get physical. Let's throw Patrick Ricard in that motherfucker and let's go. Like I think Baltimore can actually bully those motherfuckers. Really do.
Imagine trying to tackle Derrick Henry in 10 degrees. It's already hard enough, right? Like,
yeah, I feel pretty secure.
The more I'm thinking about it and talking about it with you, I'm like, yeah, I'm starting to feel pretty secure as well.
Right? It's like I'm no longer the Lamar Jackson playoff bullshit or whatever. I'm off of that. Because look, if you want to say that about Lamar, you can say the exact same fucking thing about Josh Allen. So like, and to me, I love James Cook. Love James Cook. He ain't Derrick Henry. And I still think that their physicality comes from a lot of what Cook does. But most to me, when I think about the physicality of Buffalo, I think about Josh Allen. With Baltimore offensively, when I think about physicality, I think about their entire fucking team. Like, I think about those tight ends. I think about Ricard, who's 300 pounds. I think about Derrick Henry. I think about, I'm like, these guys, if they want to play bully ball, we can play bully ball with you. And I don't think you guys can set. So, like, to me, long-standing fucking drives, they can't get Baltimore's offense off the fucking field and just bleed you. Yeah. Bleed you. Like, I can absolutely see that.
Is that the matchup you're most excited for besides ours? Or is it Rams-Eagles for you?
I mean, I think it's ours by far, honestly. But it's but yeah, Lamar versus Josh Allen in playoff time. I mean, come the fuck on. Who doesn't want to watch that shit?
6:30. Yeah.
And look, as much as I have faith in the Rams, if somebody were to tell me that the Eagles are going to win by 3 touchdowns, I'd be like, all right. But it's like the thing about the Eagles Rams thing that I think that, and actually I'm going to give credit to Mina Kimes on this too, is she was saying that the frustrating thing about Matthew Stafford is every 2 or 3 games, he plays like the best quarterback in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And I think we can get one of those. And like that to me is like, I think we get one of those days. I really do think that they come alive in this particular game. You know how I feel about Philadelphia. That has not changed.
Right.
And I think what they did last week,
hot take.
It wasn't that impressive.
If it's snowing heavily, then AJ Brown can't read his book and they're not throwing. He loses his mind. Rams win.
Did you like what you saw with the Eagles versus the Packers?
No.
Right.
They look bad. Both teams look bad. Like Green Bay looked horrible. And I think it was nothing that Philly did, honestly. And then Philly looked bad, but they're so talented that they came away with the win. Yeah, exactly.
If one thing's not working, I mean, we'll go to something else. Like we continue to try different things.
It is on you as the 6, 7 seed, etc., to look that much better than the team you're going against. It's on you to do it. That's what makes it hard because you're also on the road. Like that's just what it takes. And so,
like, man, I know I'm gonna seem like a fucking jackass when I say this shit. But I know that we talked last week when you asked me this question as far as who I had, and I said how much faith I had in Minnesota after the Detroit game. Like I still had faith. I was wrong, but the thing I'm going to say,
by the way, go ahead.
I think Darnold was horrific in the Lions game.
He was.
I think he was bad in that Lions game. That's why I felt like, all right, Minnesota could still do something.
He had the happy feet, by the way. We talked about with some of these draft prospects. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think he was good last week, but I put more of it on the offensive line of some of the other things than I did Sam Darnold completely. And I really do think the Rams just beat him. I think the Rams beat them. I think that, like, if you look at from a defensive stat standpoint for the Rams, there's a lot of things that are not promising if you look at a lot of numbers. But there are certain things as far as, like, pressure rate, really good. There's certain things that the Rams do really, really well that come playoff time is really important to be able to fucking do. And to me, to see what it is they were able to do offensively, even with every parlay getting fucking destroyed because Puka Nacua wasn't even involved as much as he needed to be, I'm just like, they got more to give. So, like, I like those motherfuckers, man. And hot take. I've been having a conversation about, like, where everybody's going to land. I know Ben Johnson of Vegas is sounding very, very popular.
I think he's using it as leverage.
Here's where I think Ben Johnson is going. Philadelphia.
Okay, so you think Sirianni gone?
I think Sirianni gets fired after they lose this.
Ben Johnson in.
Ben Johnson in.
That'll be interesting.
That's a hot take.
That'll be interesting. Like, well, it's exactly what Howie Roseman does. He looks past a few things. He's got some rose-tinted glasses. He goes, that person's supremely talented. Bring him in. It'll work. That's what he does.
That's my thing. It's like they got an opportunity to do it. Kellen Moore is being looked at for the Dallas job. He says, look, we got the talent here. It's in the building. We got a short window. Fuck it, let's go.
Not the worst idea, honestly.
And look, Ben Johnson of Vegas, everybody's been hearing the rumors about Ben Johnson and what really happened when it came to the Commanders. I still don't buy it. I especially, like, the idea that he waited for a better opportunity, he thinks Vegas is that, I think is just the dumbest shit ever. It's just stupid. It's not a better situation. It's just not. I think him and Philly, if somebody wants to hand you the keys to Philadelphia and what they got going right there, I think you take those fucking keys.
Yeah, but will they sign Sam Howell?
I can't buy that shit.
I mean, that was my thing. I was like, you're telling me that the only way he's taking the job is if he builds around Sam Howell? I like Sam. No, I like Sam, just to be clear, but like, they were talking about the UNC connection.
It started making a little sense. And then you're maybe.
Well, that's why it was so interesting, because then when I texted you about it, I was like, well, then Adam Peters would have had to have circled Jayden Daniels and saying, we are taking him no matter what, because the other UNC connection's Drake May. So I almost wonder if he was like, all right, then we'll take Drake. And Adam's like, actually, no, we are literally taking Jayden Daniels. Like, in which case Ben Johnson goes, I'm out. If we talk about UNC connections, it would have been interesting if Mike Vrabel had not taken the Patriots job, because I could see Ben Johnson over there. Tons of cap space. You got Drake May, right? We talked about the UNC connection. And then Happy for the Patriots though that they got Vrabel.
I'm not at all.
What'd you say?
I'm not at all.
For Vrabel?
I'm a person that usually has a ton of respect for New England. Like I said, the only other jersey I own, it's not a Commanders.
Oh, but this is you're talking about the Gerard Mayo bad shake.
I don't like what they did.
Yeah, no, that was definitely fucked up. He didn't have a shot. That roster was horrible. Absolutely horrible.
And my thing is, like, you had to know first time he has no head coaching experience. You have to know it's not going to look good after year one with that roster. Like, if you wanted Vrabel, why didn't you do it last year?
Do it last year.
You could have thrown the brink. Like, in order to hire Mayo in the first place, you have to give him at least a 2-year window. There was nothing to say you need to give him another fucking year. So I thought that was just utter bullshit. So I'm not rooting for them at all. I like Mike Vrabel. I like that organization. I do think Robert Kraft is a cheap son of a bitch. And that gets underplayed like crazy. He's not a great owner. Like I really don't think he's that great an owner. It's just I like Vrabel. He's one of my favorite coaches, period. But I 100 and I feel about Drake May too. But I say right now, just from a karmic standpoint, fuck them.
Yeah, that's fair. Last note before we go, because otherwise the 2-hour so we'll avoid that whole thing. I'm very happy for Joe Witt that he got recognized as doing what I think is a good job with the defense and getting the opportunity for head coaching interviews, because I think he is a fabulous communicator. I think he's a fabulous leader. And so I'm happy for him. I hope both coordinators stay, obviously, selfishly. I want continuity. I think it would be amazing. But just wanted to express my happiness for a guy like Joe Witt, who I think is great.
No, 100%.
But yeah,
your team is doing well when your coordinators are getting opportunities, and that's what you want to see happen, right? But I think that what I want more than anything is for them to have another year with actual better talent.
Right. Yeah, me too. And I'm happy for Kliff too. Of course, he's already been a head coach though. And for Joe, I remember when Keim asked him, what makes you feel you're prepared for this opportunity? And he's like, dude, I've been ready for this. And so for him to already be, in that interview setting, that's awesome, man. It's just really, really cool. I root for that guy. All right. So with that, take it easy, everybody. And we'll see you on the other side of this game, hopefully with some shades on, maybe some ski masks. So until then,
stick to the routines, guys. Stick to the routines.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.